The Philadelphia 76ers lost last night in Game 7 to the Atlanta Hawks, eliminating them from the 2021 NBA playoffs. This is a bad look because they were the first seed, the clear favorites over the fifth-seeded Hawks, but the young upstart team knocked them off. And now it's time to blow up the process and trade away Ben Simmons. However, his value is at an all-time low, so I put together a couple of trades that would make sense for both sides and give Joel Embiid some more help come playoff time because he was really carrying the team. The part where this team fell apart was on this play where Ben Simmons passed up this open dunk to Matisse Thybulle, who got fouled and went 1 for 2 at the free throw line. Had Ben Simmons dunked it, they would have had all the momentum, and who knows what could have happened. They might have even won the game. But anyways, now it's time to get on to the list. The first trade involves the Indiana Pacers. Basically, the Sixers would be sending Ben Simmons to Indiana in exchange for Malcolm Brogdon, TJ Warren, and a second-round pick. The Sixers may need to throw in a protected first-round pick at some point like 2024 or 2025 to get this deal to work, but because Ben Simmons' value is really low. But I feel like if Indiana were to trade Brogdon, this would be the best move because they don't really have much of like a championship aspiration, but they could still make the play-in tournament, or they could go for the postseason and maybe be a decent dark horse contender with Simmons, LeVert, and Sabonis, and Miles Turner too. That would be a pretty low-key. That'd be a pretty good team. But Philadelphia would get two shot creators in TJ Warren and Malcolm Brogdon. The Pacers are already looking to shop Malcolm Brogdon, and TJ Warren is coming off a season-ending injury and surgery, so they may be afraid about his future, so this trade makes sense for both sides. The next trade involves, of course, the Portland Trailblazers. This is a trade that a lot of people have proposed, and I think it's the best offer out there. It involves C.J. McCollum to the Sixers for Ben Simmons and Matisse Thybulle, and maybe Carmelo Anthony could be tossed into the trade or in a sign or trade or something, because it basically exchanges some offensive firepower from Portland to Philadelphia, and it gives Philadelphia some more defense, which they really need around Dame, if Dame is to stay, of course. So getting Ben Simmons and Matisse Thybulle would really help their defense, and then getting Carmelo Anthony in the sign-and trade and C.J. McCollum would help Philadelphia's offense. I think this is a win-win trade and the trade that should happen this offseason. Another trade involves the Washington Wizards sending Ben Simmons to Washington, plus they would also have to give up a bunch of other assets, including Matisse Thybulle, Tyrese Maxey, and maybe even Furkan Korkmaz, and a bunch of first-round draft picks and pick swaps for Bradley Beal. Yeah, you heard me right, Bradley Beal. This would be a blockbuster move, but it would basically give Philadelphia a true superstar next to Joel Embiid that can get his own shot and not be afraid to pass up an open dunk in the playoffs. That way Embiid doesn't have to score 50 points and grab 10 rebounds every single game. He can have one off night, and Bradley Beal can win a game for the 76ers. And for the Wizards, this would basically just be going into rebuild mode, seeing if Ben Simmons can turn into anything, and maybe he won't, and then that would be okay because they would be getting a bunch of draft picks for the foreseeable future. The next team is the Timberwolves. I think that they could acquire him by giving up D'Angelo Russell and Malik Beasley. This would be good for the Timberwolves because they would get the defensive player that could also play the power forward spot for them. Think about this. He doesn't have to be their point guard. He can be the power forward that they've been missing next to Cat. And then Malik Beasley's in this trade because maybe the Timberwolves just don't think he's mature enough. But the Sixers definitely like this trade because it gives them some more shot creation offensively. It is a huge downgrade on defense, but on offense, it's a big upgrade. And if they can sign a couple of veterans that can play defense, then their defense wouldn't completely collapse, and their offense would be slightly better. So I think this move is good for both sides. And one more final trade that I don't think will happen, but it could, is the Dallas Mavericks trading Kristaps Porzingis for Ben Simmons. This swap would basically just be if both teams desperately wanted Porzingis and Simmons, but I don't think it'll get to that point, so I don't think this trade is very likely, but it could happen, and it would make sense because it would make Dallas a better defensive team, and it would get, I guess, some more shooting for the 76ers. I don't know, but let me know what you guys think. I think that the trade they should do is the trade with the Portland Trailblazers. The Indiana Pacers trade would be the second one. I like the Timberwolves trade as well. There are some other options as well, like trading him to the Miami Heat for Tyler Hero and Duncan Robinson, to maybe to the Warriors for Andrew Wiggins. Maybe they could trade him to the Boston Celtics for like Al Horford, but I no, because they wouldn't want Al Horford back. I don't know. It's very confusing with the Ben Simmons situation because his value is so low, but I don't think they'd want to trade him for low value. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens with that. And I guess that's it for today's video. Make sure to drop a like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video.